All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Matty here from ChillTCG, and today we're going to be talking about the newest attacker to be added into Pokemon Unite, Sylveon. Sylveon came out last night, so still fairly new. There's probably a lot of information that we're still yet to know about Sylveon. However, in my experience, just in the last day or so of playing with Sylveon, all the different time I've been playing with her so much, Sylveon is incredible, really, honestly. I mean, I haven't felt like a character was this strong when it was released since maybe Blastoise. I put her right up there with kind of Petal Dance Venusaur right now in terms of its overall effectiveness and sustainability. I think her burst damage is a little bit better. But today we're going to be talking about really the two different builds for Sylveon. And it's actually interesting because most Pokemon in this game have one definitive moveset and item set that I think really defines that character at a high level. Honestly, I think that one of these builds is a little bit better than the other, but we're going to go down both of them really quick and kind of compare and contrast and let you guys know which build you should be playing if you play Sylveon, because I really think, there's a couple different ones that we can be doing. So the first build, of course, is going to be the... It's going to be the Mystical Fire and Draining Kiss build. Now, this is by far my favorite way to play Sylveon. We'll quickly run down what these two attacks do. So Mystical Fire has the user create 4 small flames while advancing to the designated direction. So it's kind of like a dash attack, and then those flames spawn around you. The flames shoot towards opposing Pokemon one by one, dealing damage and decreasing the opposing Pokemon's special attack for a short time when they hit. Each time the flame hits, it reduces the cooldown for this move. And when you upgrade this move, it increases the number of flames by 1. So there'll be 5 flames that dance around you. Mystical Fire, in my opinion, is Sylveon's best move. It gives her an increased mobility. Having that dash attack is really good. Just being able to kind of dash around, dodge different things. It's extremely good. My favorite part about Mystical Fire is kind of the evasiveness of it. A lot of times you can kind of wait for that dash, use your Mystical Fire when somebody's about to attack you, and you're dashing right out of the way, but on top of that, the flames spawn around you, right? So you dodge the opposing Pokemon's attack, and then you immediately start with your own counter attack because the Mystical Flames, they lock onto the target. But Mystical Flames combos extremely well with Draining Kiss. So if we were Draining Kiss, the user blows a kiss towards the opposing Pokemon that goes back and forth between the user and the opposing Pokemon multiple times. I believe it's 3 when you first get Draining Kiss, and then when you upgrade it, it's an additional 1. So it bounces back and forth between you and the opposing Pokemon. You can't get too far away if you're using Draining Kiss. There's kind of like a little barrier to let you know kind of how far away you can be. However, the closer you are to that target, the faster that heart bounces back and forth, which heals you up quicker. It's a sure hit attack, and all of these attacks on Sylveon are sure hits, which makes her that much more easy to play. However, when the kiss touches the user, yes, it restores its HP. When it hits the opposing Pokemon, it deals damage to it, and it decreases that Pokemon's movement speed for a short time. If the user and the opposing Pokemon move too far away, then the kiss will disappear faster than normal, and then when you upgrade it, it increases the amount of HP that this move restores. So the combination between Mystical Fire and Draining Kiss is absolutely insane. They're both auto lock-on moves, which is honestly pretty rare in Pokemon Unite. You don't see it too often, but both of these moves are auto lock-on, so you're never really going to miss these attacks, which makes Sylveon that much better. What I like to do if I'm going on the offenses is I'll dash in, right, with Mystical Fire and instantly hit Draining Kiss. So while those flames are just spam hitting the opposing Pokemon, not only is it dealing a lot of damage, but it's dropping their special attack down. And immediately when I dash towards them, I'm going to Draining Kiss. So the Draining Kiss is bouncing back and forth, healing me, dealing damage to them rapidly while the flames are coming in. The burst damage potential on this build is absolutely phenomenal. It really is. But I think what they don't really tell you a whole lot about Draining Kiss is how just good the survivability is when you're running this move. Because the combination between Mystical Fire and Draining Kiss, it's going to drop the opposing Pokemon's special attack. So if you're up against a special attacker, it means that you're going to live that much longer, and you're also getting healed at the same time. Now, with this build, for the item moveset, I personally like to run the Focus Sash paired up with Choice Specs and Shell Bell. Excuse me. Shell Bell personally feels super good on this build of Sylveon. I think it has really good synergy with Draining Kiss when we're, clearing up farms, camps. We're farming those wild Pokemon. Our health regens super quickly. It also further increases your kind of livability when you're in these kind of one-on-one fights. Really makes Sylveon perhaps the best one-on-one fighter in this entire game. And also, what I think people don't realize is with that dash attack on Sylveon, with Mystical Fire, if all those flames hit, which they almost always do, it reduces your cooldown by like 4 seconds. So pretty much you get to just spam that dash like every 2 or 3 seconds with Sylveon, and it makes her extremely mobile, especially in fights. You're kind of dodging around, dodging attacks, continuously doing damage, healing yourself. It really is kind of the best build in my opinion. We'll talk about the other build here in a sec, but I think if you're going to be running the Mystical Fire Draining Kiss build, I really do think Shell Bell with Choice Specs increases that damage significantly, and then the Focus Sash is going to give you that much extra defense as well as survivability with, of course, its passive ability. Now, in terms of the different roles or lanes with Sylveon, she is an attacker, so I think she is really effective in the lane. However, due to her evolving at level 4, getting Mystical Fire at level 4, and getting her Unite move really early at level 8, which is also a phenomenal move, I think that going to the jungle with Sylveon is actually really good. Like I said, her mobility with this build with Mystical Fire is extremely high. So honestly, I would highly recommend going to the jungle if you're running this build for Sylveon. The next build we'll take a look at, of course, is the Hyper Voice build. Now, before we get into the Hyper Voice build, I do want to say that I do prefer the Mystical Fire Draining Kiss build in my opinion. I'm sure we can mix and match these moves, but overall, I would personally always go Mystical Fire, and I would try to go to the jungle if possible. If you're going to a lane, you can still run Mystical Fire. If you prefer it, I still think it might be even better in the lane. However, Hyper Voice does do a lot of damage and puts in tons of pressure on opposing Pokemon when they're kind of either pushing into your goal, or if you're kind of trying to push into your opponent's goal with a few teammates, it's super effective in that kind of regard. It's also really good for stealing last hits on like Dreadnought and Rotom and things like that. But yeah, so let's talk about that other build here. Now, before I should go into that, let's talk about the passive abilities on Eevee and Sylveon. So as Eevee, every time you deal damage or you receive, every time the Pokemon deals or receives damage, its special attack is increased for a short time. This makes kind of the burst ability, that burst damage on Eevee, actually quite decent, I'm not going to lie. However, when you evolve into Sylveon, your ability is going to be Pixelate. And every time the Pokemon deals damage or receives damage, its special attack and special defense are increased for a short time. I think that this passive ability pairs up a lot better with the Mystical Fire build because your damage output is a lot more consistent. You can kind of literally just spam it all game, and you're going to get those 6 stacks of Pixelate going pretty much the entire game, giving Sylveon that much more special attack and special defense whenever you're in a fight. So I would recommend to fully utilize this passive ability to go ahead and run that Mystical Fire Draining Kiss build for sure. Because to me, when I'm playing this Pokemon and I'm playing the Mystical Fire build, I feel like my Pixelate passive ability is like fully procced the entire time. Okay, now the other attacks, the other build here, which to me seems more of a laning build. I wouldn't go to the jungle if we're not running Mystical Fire. However, you can run Mystical Fire in the lane, but I still think that Hyper Voice is most likely meant to be more of a laner kind of attack strategy. So Hyper Voice is super cool. It unleashes an attack of multiple sound waves that deal damage when they hit. The damage that they deal increases the farther the target is from the user, and every time a sound wave hits, the next sound wave damage increases. So it increases over time. It lasts for like 2 or 3 seconds. You can move around really quickly while you're using it. However, you can't change the direction after you already choose it. Very similar to Greninja's Water Shuriken attack. For me, this does insane damage. It really does. The only problem is it's a little bit harder to kind of chase down opponents when you're hyper voicing. The range is like pretty average, but you can't really dash forward like you can with Mystical Fire. But like I said, very good in team fights, pushing towers, defending your tower. It can be very useful in that respect. But when you upgrade it, it increases the number of sound waves by 1. So it just kind of survives, or it stays out for like a half second longer. pretty good. But again, the longer it stays out, that last hit's going to do even more damage. So that upgrade is actually pretty substantial. I really do like Hyper Voice. I think it's extremely powerful. It just kind of gives you less, I guess, survivability options, less health drain, and less mobility. And for that reason, I think it's just a little bit worse overall, but it still is really good. And I think that a lot of times it'll come down to preference, whether you kind of prefer to be running this build or Mystical Fire. I really think you should try out both. But personally, for me, I liked the Mystical Fire build a little bit better. We pair up Hyper Voice in this build with Calm Mind. And Calm Mind is actually really, really strong, but I think it definitely goes better with Hyper Voice. Has the user quietly focus its mind and calms its spirit to increase its special attack and special defense and its movement speed for a short time. So you really want to just land or pop out that Calm Mind before you go in with your Hyper Voice. It's really going to increase the damage that you do, as well as your defense and your movement speed. So definitely really nice. However, the cooldown on this is 10 seconds. So for me, when I'm playing this build for Sylveon, it kind of feels like my cooldown is a lot longer than in the other build. And for that reason, and it's kind of like another weak point of this build specifically. When you upgrade it, only one time, only while using this move, if the user is hit by an opposing Pokemon's move, the damage is completely nullified, and the user is granted a shield. This is actually extremely powerful. Might actually be the most powerful aspect of Sylveon. If you're about to get hit with a massive Talonflame Fly or like a Unite move, right when you're about to get hit, you can just hit that Calm Mind, and if it's upgraded, that single first hit that you take is going to be completely nullified and can be super, super useful in a lot of one-on-one or team fights. So for that reason, I do think that Calm Mind is really good. However, I wouldn't go Calm Mind and Mystical Fire. You could, but overall, it just doesn't seem like it's that good to me. It would decrease your burst damage. You wouldn't get the health drain back. So I think Calm Mind does pair a lot better, personally, with Hyper Voice. However, though, if we're going to be running this build, if we're running Hyper Voice and Calm Mind, one thing that I would suggest is scrapping the Shell Bell. We're going to swap this Shell Bell out for probably one of the most popular items in the whole game, which is going to be Buddy Barrier. Buddy Barrier helps a whole lot in this build, mainly because you don't have that health drain, and as well as kind of like the health regen from Shell Bell. So you find yourself not being able to regenerate your health that efficiently. But what it is going to help you do is kind of buy yourself out by using that Unite move. And if we talk about the Unite move real quick, it's Fairy Frolic. It buffs you significantly. It's super good. It does do damage too. It has the user jump into the air and briefly become invincible. The moment the user lands, it deals damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect and restores its own HP. This is the most important part, though. For a short time afterward, after you use it, it's like 5 or 10 seconds after you use it, that effect stays. For a short time afterward, a set percentage of damage dealt by the user is converted into HP for the user. So, Buddy Barrier is going to, of course, increase that amount of shield that you get after you use your Unite move, and then you can Hyper Voice to regen your health that way after you're in your Unite move's effect. So I think that, if we're not running Draining Kiss, we don't need Shell Bell. I think Shell Bell goes really well with Draining Kiss as well as Mystical Fire. But if we're going to be running Hyper Voice and Calm Mind, I highly suggest Buddy Barrier. I think it is super good on Sylveon. That Unite move comes up like 2, 3, 4 times a game, especially if you're on a roll and you do get it really early. So I think for that first couple, key objective fights, team fights, for either Dreadnought or Rotom, I think Buddy Barrier with your Unite move will really seal the deal and help out in a lot of scenarios. Yeah, man. Sylveon is literally insane. Probably my favorite character in the entire game right now. I got some Master Rank gameplay up on the screen, so you guys can kind of watch that while I kind of talk about how insane Sylveon really is. But yeah, I personally really like Sylveon. I really do. I think she's probably like the best attacker in the game. She's right up there with Venusaur. She might even be better in some scenarios. Her area of effect is a little bit lower. Her movement speed might be a little bit lower than Venusaur. But I think her one-on-one potential is a lot higher. I think Venusaur is a lot better in kind of that team fight scenario because Giga Drain can hit multiple opponents and just kind of you can spam it if you're kind of 1-on-2, 1-on-3. But Sylveon in a one-on-one scenario, I don't think there's anyone in the game that's better at one-on-one fights than Sylveon. So I really do think she's phenomenal. The stat line up here that they give for her, 3.5 stars for offense, scoring, and support, and then 1.5 stars for endurance and mobility. To be honest with you, when I'm running the Mystical Fire build, I feel like her endurance and her mobility is also like 3.5, 4 stars. She's kind of like all around like the complete package when you're running that build, especially with Shell Bell. I think it's incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. So yeah, if I had to choose one build for Sylveon that I would recommend, It's running Shell Bell, Choice Specs, Focus Sash, running Mystical Fire, running Draining Kiss, kind of moving around, being a pest. Dodging attacks, locking onto opponents, draining their health, dealing damage consistently throughout the entire game, and just really, really being an absolute menace out there in the stadium. So yes, that is my video. That's kind of my suggestions on what the best builds are for Sylveon. Nothing too crazy. I mean, you could kind of go far out there and try a lot of different stuff, but to me, honestly, this is what I've found to be the best for me so far. But you guys try it out. Let me know what you guys think. I'm always curious to hear your guys' opinions on a lot of stuff. Unite is still pretty new to the channel for me. I've been playing a lot of Unite since it first came out, but I just recently started making YouTube content for Pokemon Unite. So if you enjoy the videos, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, comment below what are your opinions on Sylveon. I really would like to know. But yeah, definitely going to be making more Unite content in the future. I also want to start streaming regularly for Pokemon Unite, so if you're interested in that, kind of stay tuned. That definitely might be happening in the near future. But yeah, we're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Maddie from ChillTCG. This has been another Pokemon Unite video. Sylveon, absolutely insane. Run that Mystical Fire. Run the Draining Kiss. Get that Shell Bell on your Sylveon. I highly do suggest it. And yeah, we're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow for another Pokemon Unite video.